As your eternal voice. Okay, it's nice to be back. Live streaming. At least we can have one or two live streamings in a day. So it's gonna be again going back to introductory to physics, and we started discussing different types of forces. Okay, so we need to concentrate first with the most specialized forces, which are the electromagnetic forces, right? I discussed this yesterday. Let's recap what I've been discussing. Okay, it's all about electromagnetic forces composed of electric forces and magnetic forces. Okay, so it's gonna be like that, and our driving forces will be the force of attraction, something like that on a charged particles moving with a certain velocity, something like that, through magnetic field and electric field, something like that. Okay. So for example, if I have an electron, or let's say a proton, a charged particle, it will move to the east, something like that. It's gonna be a V moving velocity that influence the magnetic force. Okay, so it's the perpendicular magnetic force here, something like FB, like that. Not Facebook magnetic force. Okay, B represents magnetic. If you see subscript B, it represents magnetic. Something like that. Because the designation of magnetic field is capital B. Okay, as I recall in my previous long time study, okay, in engineering, it's gonna be like that. B is really the magnetic field, and then we drop out the field, we change that with force because it's FB, okay, and then V is the velocity of the electrons or particle moving, okay, due to the forces of attraction. So what's on your mind is a combination of electric force and magnetic force with corresponding electric field and magnetic field driven by the velocity of this particles moving, charged particles moving. Okay? The clue there is moving. Okay? To the point. Okay, now. So I'm gonna write right here. Oh my gosh. That's why we have electromagnetism, because we need to understand electromagnetic forces. Okay, because force of attraction involves, the theory of the polarization, the law of polarity, and the law of magnetism. It talks about the opposite charges or electric charges opposite with each other. This will be the polarity, something like that. Okay, forces of attraction, something like that. You get the point, mga palanggan. In that, we have a magnetic field and electric field also. Okay, something like this. It's gonna be, oh my gosh, electromagnetic forces. Okay, subdivided into electric forces and magnetic forces. Okay, so magnetic forces involves magnetic field B, and electric forces, okay, involve electric field. Okay, the difference is electric forces involve forces of attraction, okay, of different charges. Okay, magnetic forces involve magnetic field in a circular motion, okay, something like that. But both of them have a corresponding velocity with the charged particles moving. Okay, something like that. Now we have this electromagnetism forces. Okay, we need to understand the electric forces have separate formula, and magnetic forces also have separate formula. Okay, so if you can remember this one, you need to extract the basic formula of electric forces, same as electrostatic forces. Okay, but magnetic forces is so special. I need to introduce now. Really? Yes. Because I discussed to you yesterday, it's all about magnetic field strength. are related also to these magnetic forces, okay? And then the magnetic field or the magnetic flux density, it's still related to this, but in a little bit of, special topic, something like this. So, how can I say this, okay? Oh my gosh. Okay, when we mean of electromagnetic forces, we highlight more on the magnetic forces. Let's forget a little bit of the electric forces because we don't use the Coulomb's law constant here or the electric force constant. We focus on the magnetic force. Okay? Get the point? So, but we need to illustrate or emphasize the total coverage of the forces involved in electromagnetic forces. We remember the Lorentz forces. Wow. Nakakalula. Lorentz forces, Hendrik forces, discovered by Hendrik Lorentz. Okay? Hendrik. Hindi siya klaro guys, okay? Okay, you should remember that, electric forces like that discovered by, Charles Augustin, you remember that one? Charles Augustin, Coulombs for the electric forces. Okay? That's why we have one electric charge is equals to 1.602 times 10 to the negative 19 Coulomb. So it's Charles Augustin Coulomb. But here it's Frederick Lorentz for the magnetic force, the totality, including the velocity. So how can I say that? Okay, definition first, statement is gonna be like that. Lorentz force is a force exerted to charge particles with a moving velocity through electric field and magnetic field. Okay, it's gonna be like that. So we will put that into an equation to simplify our understanding. It's gonna be like that. Okay, magnetic force. Okay, how can I say that? Okay, electromagnetic force. Okay, EMF. Actually, there's also EMF different, the electromotive force. That's another thing. Okay, that's on chemistry regarding the topics of, electrochemistry. You remember? Standard reduction potential. Ganon. But in here, this EMF is another story. This is electromagnetic forces. That's the M here is not motive. Okay? Because the electromotive forces are talking about more on the voltage. Okay? The electrochemical cell or potential cell or the voltage. But here, it's electromagnetic forces involves magnetism. Okay? Don't forget. I shortcut because it's very tired to write everything. A and F is equals to, say, the charge of the electric force involved, EF, plus the charge involved with a moving velocity, okay, of the magnetic force, V, okay, times the magnetic field. Ganon. Okay? So remember, we have three expressions, yes. We have expression 1. Oh no, it's not expression, it's terms in math. Expression meaning if it is really raised to the power n, exponent, or linear, but here terms. Term 1, term 2, term 3. Okay, and we have how many variables? B, V, Q, and the F. Right? These are the variables. Okay, when we study math, algebra, we need to know what is a term, what is an expression, what is a variable, like that. And then function x of x and y. I mean, this is the function of the variables x and y in your algebraic expression. Okay? Your algebraic expression could either be exponential or linear. And through that algebraic expression, you can have variables, which is your function of x and y. Something like that. And terms, how many? Okay? Term 1, term 2, term 3. So you need to understand. And then the order of that particular algebraic expression will be based on exponent. If there's an exponent raised to the power 2, that is your order. Okay? Order of the algebraic expression 2. Ganon. Then if there's no exponent at all, your order of algebraic expression is equal to 1, and that is only linear. algebraic expression. Okay? Then if more than 2, your exponent, and that could already that polynomial. Okay, in math, polynomial meaning a lot of variables, expression and terms. You should review the basics in order we can understand here. Okay, so that we can segregate what's necessary and what's really not necessary. Same as if we perform our task, if we don't need those materials for our task, then we need to eliminate and segregate at that moment. We need only to use the important one which is necessary for our tasks to accomplish our purpose in doing that task. The same story like this. Okay, we need to eliminate the expressions of, no, the terms that are not relevant and treat that as zero. We need to say constant, it doesn't involve in your equation, but I am talking to the totality as the electromotive forces. Okay? Ganon. Okay, now if you see the problem doesn't involve electric forces, and there's no electrostatic forces, there's no ions, there's no negative charge, positive charge, something like that, then you need to treat this zero, this term 1, QEF, zero. Okay, what will remain? Remain is your QV, charge, the velocity of your magnetic force and magnetic force perpendicular to each other times the magnetic field B. Ganon. Okay? Now the reverse will hold through if you don't have the magnetic force, then treat this as zero, and your QF will be there, then treat that as your equation. So it depends on the situation, but there are also cases both of them are having values. It depends on the problem, and you don't treat zero. Okay, things like that. Okay, so if you can understand really what's on the problem, the data, then you don't have to put the zero immediately. So it will be simplified. We don't know if it is really applicable and it is really needed for our electromagnetic forces equation. Okay? So, ang daganan na lang siya sa problem. Okay? What I'm trying to emphasize, there are situations that it will become zero, something like that, because we don't need that data to support our problem that is being asked and required. Something like that. Okay? Now, going back to the Philippines. So, okay? Kakaloka. Okay, now, problem number 1. A proton of 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second east in magnetic field, 0.11 directed into the page. Calculate the radius of circular path of moving proton. Oh my gosh! Proton is the particle was mentioned here because it's the definition of electromagnetic force. Force exerted on a charged particle generally. It could either be an electron, a proton, and a neutron. So, pasok sa banga because it's mentioned here, proton. Okay. Now, try to extract the other definition, moving with the velocity, the definition. So, it's here also, see, directed in the page, the circular, but moving. Okay, moving, meaning there's a velocity exerted in a particular proton, charged proton. So, moving, there's a velocity. Okay, it's very clear. So we need to himay-may so that we can solve properly. It's not enough to memorize the equations, but we need to be smart enough to scrutinize terminology to terminology with corresponding data. It's gonna be like that before we can plug in or before we can substitute to our standard formula of this electromagnetic force. Okay, moving like that. So it's understood to be having a magnetic field. See? So automatically, okay, magnetic force will be there because there's a magnetic field. They are complementary with each other. If there is a magnetic field, automatically, without question, there is always magnetic force. Get the point? Okay, now, charge is mentioned here. Okay, it doesn't mention, but by general chemistry lecture, we know by theory our basic foundational proton. Okay, take note, the proton properties. Okay, get the point. physical properties of a proton. Later on, we will be discussing that one because we will be able to substitute directly in our standard formula of electromagnetic force equation discovered by Mr. Friedrich Lorentz. And this is Lorentz law. Okay, Lorentz. Okay. For example, in the future examination, you will say blank is a law that states electromagnetic force is equal to the charges of the electric forces and the magnetic forces with corresponding magnetic field. Your answer will be Lorentz force. Because there's a lot of forces. D by force, cosine force, like that. Okay? Or Coulomb's law, so it's up to you now if you really accommodate or accumulate in your brain cells. Okay, something like that. Okay, you need to engrave in hippocampus part of your cerebral part of your brain chart. In your CNS, central nervous system. Charot. Kaloka. Okay, get the point, mga pinandakuhitan. Okay, so in here, the EF chu is not mentioned because there's no attraction of negative charge, positive charge. There's no forces of attraction. There's no ions, there's blah blah blah, so and so. There's no molecules. So EF will be zero. So you need to terminate the first term of the electromagnetic force. You go directly to the magnetic force, right? Okay. It's gonna be like that. Okay. So EMF terminate the electric force and the charge. Go directly to that charge of the magnetic force with the moving velocity, okay, times the magnetic field. Canon. So this will be your equation now. Okay? Now, since in this particular problem, we don't treat now the electromagnetic force because the electric force has been terminated. So you need to say now, magnetic force only. Okay, because you terminate already your electric force. So in your acronym declaration, you need to remove the E. Only MF. Magnetic force. Ganon. MF. You terminate the A because it's zero. Okay? So MF is equals to QV. This is your equation 1. Ganon. Okay. Now try to extract, okay, variable to variable. Okay, seems like that. So, calculate the radius. Ano kakaloka? Sir Sotero, the formula doesn't involve radius. So, things like this, what is being asked, this is the normal, tricky part of several examinations in the future because they're trying to find out a quantity that doesn't involve in the formula itself. As I told you over and over again, we need to correlate the past formulas that we studied to link with the new topic that your instructors are teaching you at that moment. Example, say, calculate the radius of the circular path, but the electromagnetic forces doesn't involve radius. How can you do that? Then you need to derive another equation. So things like this, you should be smart enough to remember all those standard formulas and equations in your lower grades. Could it be in high school? Could it be in elementary? Could it be in your first year college? Something like that, and you need to link that again and again and again. That's why we have prerequisite subjects before taking that subject, because the purpose of that is to use the previous and past learnings to link and correlate to new topics that we will be able to face in our higher years. Okay? We cannot jump immediately to, for example, Physics 203 and you did not take the Physics 101. So you should go first the Physics 101. Things like this. You cannot take the Physics if you cannot take the Chemistry first. Because in the introductory general chemistry, some of the basic topics of physics are already discussed there. Okay? So you cannot jump. That's why we have prerequisites. Same story like this. That's the purpose. You need to connect. Okay? You get the point? Okay? And this is the usual mistakes and common errors of a lot of students and examiners, including me. Okay? Let's be honest. Okay, something like that. Okay. Now, I have the magnetic forces, charge, velocity, and the magnetic field. Canon. Okay, now try to go back to your problem. It's being mentioned the data gathered. Okay, Magnetic force is there. Check. Nothing. Equals X. Okay. Charge of a proton. It's not mentioned in the problem, but in the theory, the charge of the proton is how much? 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19 coulomb. Okay? According to Charles Augustine Coulomb in 1785 cell theory. He said that it's the value of the electric charge regardless if it is a proton, neutron, or electron. Okay? So it's going to be 1.60 times 10 to the negative 19 coulomb, capital C. Okay? Then your velocity. What is your velocity? It's mentioned. 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second. Direct substitution mga palangga. Our favorite. Okay? We'll feel happy if we can substitute immediately, right? Because we don't need to think a lot. Meaning, okay, things like that. 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second. Now, what is your magnetic field for the situation? Okay, magnetic field is 0.1 Tesla. Wow. So remember this unit Tesla. This is the unit of magnetic field. Okay. In the future examination, things like that will be coming up in sometimes in the board examination. What is the unit of luminous intensity? Okay, luminous in the light, LGHT. Example, candela, ganon. Okay, the basic unit of amount of substance, mole, o ganon. What is the unit of magnetic field? Your answer will be Tesla, ganon. Okay, so what is the unit of force? Newton, like that. What is the unit of acceleration due to gravity? Okay, what type, sir? English system? Diba? English system? Metric system? Or what? So just say it SI system. You will say 9.81 meter per second squared. English system, 32.2 feet per second squared is our acceleration due to gravity. Something like that. Okay? So you need to remember that Tesla is the unit of magnetic field. Now it's mentioned, this substitute directly the 0.1 Tesla. Okay. Now, if you plug in the units mga palangga, try to check also the breakdown of the units so that it will be cancelled. 1 Tesla is equal to mga ganun chuchu. So you should familiarize also for example, 1 turn unit, meaning no connection. Single lang siya. Tesla, Weber, Farad, mga ganun, di ba? What else? Single lang siya, Newton. There's a corresponding breakdown of units after that. Newton, kilogram meter per second squared, ganon. This purpose is to compute directly what is being asked quantity individually. So Tesla, 1 Tesla sa unit of magnetic flux is equal to ganon chuchu kilogram, okay, second squared ampere. So there's a current involved in Tesla also because magnetic flux, it directs also electricity, the electrons flow. Okay, something like that. Okay, what else? In terms of Weber per meter squared. Weber is also another unit of magnetic flux density. Something like that in a particular area surface considered. Okay? It's gonna be the technique. Okay, ganon. Okay? Then if you try to know really the remaining unit basing on your calculation, cancellation, in your simplification of units, then you can say, this is the unit of something, ganon. Okay? Like that. Now, I will draw. Guys, I have a limited whiteboard. I cannot explain comprehensively because of this issue. I need to erase. Okay? Like that. Okay, I must erase this. If you have a blank sheet of paper, then help me solve also, because this is not very complex or difficult problem. This is basic in physics. Okay, something like that. So I erase for a while. Okay, now radius. How can we connect the radius? Okay, let's say we illustrate. Sometimes when we direct, not sometimes, most of the times, when we direct equation mga palangga, we need to illustrate and sketch so that we can troubleshoot Okay, what are the formulas involved in there? Okay, you get the point. So for example, if I have 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second velocity to the s, I have to draw. Oh, s, direction chuba. S, with north, south. This is the standard in the physics in the computation. It will never be reversed. Okay? Put this in your brain cells that the direction is always be like this. North, upward, south, downward, is going to the right, west going to the left. So west negative is positive, north is positive because it's downside, upside, sorry, S is south is negative, and you have a zero, ganon, central of gravity, or central, something like that, okay? Ganon. So this direction normally found in your compass when you go to a certain, for example, if you have an itinerary to do an exploration or a scientific research for whatever, and you go to different places you have a plan in your hand, like that, the layout, you go with your corresponding compass, something like that. And you need to determine east to west now. Where I am now? I am in the, I am in the Calgary Island, south-north, because you bring the compass, something like that. So north, south, east to west. So, things like that. Okay? It will not be interchanged, mga palangga ulitan. Okay? This is specific. North is up, south is down, east is right, and west is left. Left negative, right positive, upward positive, downward negative. Okay? Ganon. Okay, so 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second, it's gonna be like that. For example, say like that if it's your direction. Good, by the way, guys, okay, magnetic field is a vector quantity. In physics, we need to understand what is a vector quantity and a scalar quantity. So this is really important because, if you say scalar quantity, we don't need to acknowledge the direction. If we say vector quantity, we need to acknowledge the direction where it goes. It's going to be in the left, in the right, in the north, in the south, upward, downward, okay, and diagonal position, orientation, clockwise, clockwise, sorry, and so on and so forth. Okay, now I will ask you, is speed scalar quantity or vector quantity? Ganon. Is a velocity is a vector quantity or scalar quantity? We need to differentiate because sometimes in the future examinations also, based on my exposure in different science quiz bowls when I was in high school like that. Okay, and then stories of life before. If you're really an academic achievers, you maintain your status to become an honor student, then you need to be like that. Okay, you get the point. You need to maintain your reputation to become always on the top 10. So you need to, you know what I mean, okay? Something like that. So you need to remember those basic science and math concepts, okay, while you are still young, okay, in the elementary and grade school level. Okay, starting to grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, ganon. Okay, and then high school to college, something like that. Okay, you get the point. It's gonna be like that. Acquired knowledge and stock knowledge bonded with your intelligence quotient, IQ. Okay, it's gonna be like that. Bonded talaga, chemically bonded. Charot. Okay? Nakakaloka. Okay, now, your velocity will be going to the S. It's gonna be like here. Velocity. Wait. Okay. Guys, don't memorize when you analyze, okay? You will only memorize the formulas and equations. So how it is being solved, not necessarily you will memorize. This is one also technique. Because if you try to memorize, maglibog na ka. Okay? So, just relax and try to remember all those, basic concepts in your brain cells with corresponding standard formulas. Okay, now, velocity in the east, okay, it's gonna be like that. And then, okay, your magnetic force will be directed upward, okay? Because it said into the page, okay? N2, meaning it's gonna be there in the central of gravity, the center, okay? Like that. Your center is not on the away, but into. Okay, so again, preposition in English is very important. Into, okay, or to, okay, or towards, okay, preposition, okay, in English, okay, into, to, towards, okay, this will help in analyzing the problem. So into means going there, okay, so your magnetic force will be going there to the center of your consideration. So this is to the page, into the page. Okay, magnetic force will be into the page, meaning FB, Facebook. Sorry, magnetic force only. Okay, get the point? And now, going here, put an imaginary, okay, like that, okay, and then your velocity will go to the up. Okay, and then your FB, magnetic force, will directed also to the center, like that. Okay, I will explain later why. Okay, and then put an imaginary like that. It looks like you form a circle or a circular path which matches our problem. See, radius of a circular path. Something like that. So it matched in our problem basing on our illustration. Ganon. So it's gonna be like that. So your velocity will be going there, the direction, velocity, and then your FB downward. So we need to say mga palangga, this velocity and the magnetic force have a relationship of being perpendicular with each other. Something like that. So I need to say 90 degrees of inclination. Okay, see, 90 degrees of inclination, 90 degrees of inclination, 90 degrees of inclination. Okay, in a circular path. Okay, now after here, we go to the imaginary again. Follow the direction of your velocity. Something here. FB will be here, they're going to chuba, okay, and then your velocity will directly be downward until it will come back to be like this. In the final point, it will be rotating, something like that. Okay, now, what will happen? You create a circular path. Okay, circular path, meaning a centripetal force had been discovered after you sketch. Okay, the magnetic force and your velocity of your proton that is really moving with a speed or velocity of 3 times 10 to the 6 meters per second. So we have the centripetal force. Okay, again, in physics, what is a centripetal force? Okay, a centripetal force is the force created by a tension force, okay, that is directed to the center of your gravity. Center or the center being considered of your object. Okay? It's here, center, right? So towards, not away. The away will be the reverse, the centrifugal force. But here centripetal, it will be directed towards, or M2, the central or centripetal gravity or the page. The term here is page. Okay? But actually it means the same thing. Okay? Something like that. Okay, you get the point. So centripetal force, we will arrive at centripetal force. Now, since you have a magnetic force with a magnetic field, ganon, and this is the proton and this is charged, remember, if it is charged, what will happen? You will create an equation based on physics. Again, if you can still remember, if we remember our topic in fourth year physics, okay, high school, okay, so physics. Okay, actually this is not in first year college because it's the basics in physics are discussed already in high school. Okay, so if we are attentive listening to that, it will be engraved in our brain cells. Okay, so centripetal force is denoted as Fc. So we have mass times the velocity squared over r. So nilugwa din si r. R radius has been appearing because it's been asked in the problem. So calculate the radius of a circular path. Ganon. Now, take note mga palangga. So how can we connect that to our electromagnetic force? We need to be in equilibrium. Why? Because your magnetic force is traveling in circular path and it is understood to be the behavior also with your centripetal force. So you will say, okay, let's erase this because I cannot discuss you comprehensively. Okay, there's a limitation for this white where the dimensions are not too wide to consider. Charot! Okay, like that. So we have centripetal force mga kalangga, Fc, is equal to your magnetic force because both are traveling in a circular path, something like that. So we have Mv squared over r is equals to the charge of the proton times the velocity times the magnetic field. Ganon! Okay, now check if there are quantities to be cancelled out from the left to the right, rule in algebra. Inspect by visual inspection. Okay, so velocity cancel, no other. It's only the velocity will cancel. Then perform the math crisscross multiplication. Okay, it's gonna be mv qbr. Now compute for the r because it's been asked in the problem. So r is equal to mv over qb. Then substitute the data directly. Okay. The importance in this problem, guys, is the derivation of equation. Because if you don't know how to derive, nana. Okay? So this is the usual errors of the examinations in the future. It's always the derivation, especially for complex problems. So what the author of the questions trying to teach us or to emphasize, we need to understand really what's going on if they try to modify the problems not based on our sample problems in our classroom instructions like that. It will be modified in the future, then you have an idea how to do it. Okay? It teaches us to be independent, something like that. Okay? Since it teaches us to be independent, then it teaches us also to have initiative to expand our knowledge from classroom instruction, and we need to go other instructions for our study. For example, in the library, in our home, like that, in a library, museum, something like it to research further. Okay? More than the classroom instruction. Okay? Something like that. That's the real point. Because if you need to research a lot, you can discover something new in which it has not been discussed well, or if it is discussed well, then it was not presented in a emphasized manner. Wow, emphasized manner. Okay? So mass. What's the mass of proton? See? The mass of proton is discussed in your general chemistry lecture. It's not mentioned also here. So what is the mass of the proton? I always say to you, memorize that when you are still in elementary level. Okay, grade 5, grade 6, grade 4. Chart. You should know already what is the mass of an electron, mass of the proton, and the mass of the neutron, especially if you really want to become a top-notcher. Something like that in the board examination. Things like that. There are a lot of conversion factors also in your notebook. Your parents buy you a notebook, and then at the back of your notebook, there are a lot of conversions there. Length, meter, time, ganon, velocity, speed. But something, since we are very, very young at that time, you're a kid, we don't focus on the conversion at the back of our multiplication table, on the notebook. We focus on the drawing, because we are very young, right? We are playing, something like that. Okay? So, for me, honestly, it was grade 5 and grade 6 that I need to discover that one. Because I don't know, in grade 1 and grade 2, we don't do that thing, right? So, I think it's gonna be grade 5. Grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, I kept interest now in looking at the back of the notebook, the conversion factors. Okay, the volume, the time, like that. It's there, multiplication table. Okay? Now, that's why I don't like anymore the drawing on the front page, which is most of the times artista. Before, in the 1980s and 90s, mga artista ipagutang sa cover sa notebook. Okay? Something, I'm not interested at all for that. when I reach for grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6. Okay, I'm interested the most at the back, the multiplication table, the conversion factors. Okay, something like that. Okay, now, mass of a proton, mga palangga kong hitad, charot. 1.67 times 10 to the negative 27 kilogram is the mass of the proton. Okay? And what is the mass of an electron? 9.109 times 10 to the negative 31 kilogram. So electron is lighter than a proton. Okay? That's why it is appearing in the outermost shell. Okay, of that certain electronic configuration of each element in the periodic table. Something like that. And now we have the magnetic field. Okay, here, the denominator. We have the velocities. Here we have 3 times 10 to the 6 meter per second. Mga palangga kung hitad. Charge, as I told you over and over again, 1.602 times 10 to the negative 19. And then the magnetic field, Tesla, is here. So 0.1 Tesla, okay? Meaning to say kilogram, second squared, ampere. Ganon. So muna niya itong radius. Solve the calculator please. Ganon. Okay. So how can you do this? Okay, 1.67 mga palangga kung hitad. 1.67 exponent negative 27 times 3 exponent to the 6 is equal to, shout out! Oh, talaga ako na, Lloyd Chavez, Lenny Robredo. Oh, nandun ka Lenny Robredo. Okay, Sir Mosh. Okay, wow! Mga Lenny Robredo lagi na uwi. Naluka. Thank you so much for watching my live streaming, mga palangga kong hitad. I love you, kakampiks. Let's do that, let's do the peace. P-E-A-C-E. Okay? Like that. Okay? Pero masaya lang ang world, right? Okay. So, 1.67. Okay. Negative 27 times. Okay. Gawin mo ko ano yung lahat before last 2 days. Ano ilang niya pong itanaw. Char. Okay? Exponent to the 6. Diba? Okay. 7 exponent to the negative 27. Okay. Times 3 exponent to the 6. Mga palangga kong hitay. Okay. I will not expect that I will vlog politics at this point in time. I have a limited knowledge on politics. Okay. Something like that. Okay. 5.01 times 10 to the negative 21. Mga palangga kong hitay. Okay. Ganon. Okay. Like that. And then the denominator is, okay, 1.602 exponent negative 19 times 0.5 mga palangga kung hitad. 8.01 times 10 to the negative 20. Okay? 8.01 times 10 to the negative 20. Now guys, okay, things like this in math, if you have exponent negative, if you try to transpose that in the numerator, then you treat this as a positive. Oh, negative 21 plus positive 20. Oh, negative 21 plus positive 20 is equals to 1. Oh, exponent 1 na siya. You need to divide na lang yung mga figure. It's just the same story. To eliminate the confusion, that's the rule in math. Okay? So 5 divided by 8.01 is equals to, ano siya? 0.64 na lang siya ang answer. So 0.64, and it's gonna be matter. Because all are matter. Oh, it's swinging now. My phone told me to research about polymer chemistry because I need to submit my scientific research. Really? Yes, I love to do a scientific research while I'm still here in, here and abroad. Chart. Scientific research talaga. Chart. Okay? So it's gonna be 0.624. Joke lang yan ha. Okay, 0.624 ba yung tinod on? Okay. My last scientific research when I was in high school, I make a syrup, a combination of sambag leaf and then kainit to leaf, and then for eliminating calf. That's my last scientific research, how to make syrup. SYRUP. I could still remember really. It flashes back in my brain cells. Okay, and then something to my teacher before. Okay, I think it's in biology. You need to make the title of it is investigatory project. You need to have anything you want as long as you can make your scientific research. Okay. At that moment, I use syrup because it's easy to do. Only mixing, a little bit of extraction, filtration, okay, and evaporation also. Purely mixing like that, okay. It's gonna be like that. 164 meter. So Sotero, why meter? Okay, why meter? Because your unit of the Tesla, may meter siya. Meter diri. So, all are expressed in meter na talaga siya. Okay, but if you try to really to break down this, we can do. Okay? Okay, let's do the breakdown chuba-chuchu. Okay? 0.64 meter is our radius na ha. Okay? Like this. So, if the diameter will be asked, times 2. 0.64 times 2. Okay, if the circumference will be asked, 2 pi r. So, these are the backup question. If the radius will be there already, it will be changed now. Not change, additional question. Calculate the surface area of a circular path of the moving proton. You know the area. Area is equal to pi r squared. Then bingo. You only need to solve the r, and the rest will follow. Ganon. Ang bitik lang dari guys, if the question will directly say, calculate the surface area of a circular path of a moving proton. Because it doesn't direct immediately the radius in the particular sentence. Okay, get the point? So, if you are clever and smart enough to extract area involves radius, then you need to solve the radius first. Okay? But then if you love to surrender immediately because it needs thinking, it's up to you. Like that, okay? That's a way to think deeper. Okay? Something like that, meaning critical thinking. Something like analysis. Okay? It's gonna be like that, mga palangga. So, mass, kilogram. Okay? Velocity, meter per second, right? Okay. The charge, coulomb. Ganon. Breakdown siya, mga palangga. Okay? And then, magnetic field, kilogram, second squared, cancel kilogram, cancel second squared, cancel. Okay. Naatay na habilin mga palangga, kumitag, kilogram, okay, and then second, nakinabilin na meter over 1, coulomb, wait, mga palangga ko, okay, okay, tararat, so it's here in the second, and ampere. Ganon. Okay. Now, okay, meter. Okay, muna niyo siya guys ha. Ang kaning ampere relation to second also. Okay? You get the point. So, nakaka-charge. Charge is equals to, okay, current is equals to charge over time. Okay? Current charge over time. So, this is the ampere. So we will break down this ampere to coulomb per second. So, coulomb, this is in the denominator, cancel. What we left is the, okay, meter. Perfect. You need a unit of meter. See, I know everything because I know the formula of current also with respect to the electric charge. Things like this, because this is very basic in the moving particles. How to compute the electric charge of each particle moving in a wire, in a pad, or whatever is considered related to practical electricity by Ohm's law. Something like that. Get the point? So meter you should have been after simplifying the unit. Okay? So muna siya, 0.64 meter ang atong radius mga palangga. Okay? Things like this. Okay? Then, because we derive something chuba-chuchu, and then, you need to memorize na that final R. So that in your next computation, you don't need to derive again. You get that point? So what is that? R is equals to mass and the velocity over the magnetic field that charge. Perfect. Looking first, then it will register to our brain cells. Okay, R is equals to the mass times the velocity over the charge and the magnetic field. So we have now a new formula. Okay, like that. So things like that. Okay, you get the point. Okay. The answer for this is 0.624 meter. So if you need to sketch that again, it's gonna be like this. Draw a circular path, and the radius would be 0.624 meter. Ganon. Okay, now, additional question also. What is the acceleration of proton when it travels to the center? You need to connect, you need to maximize. Because things like this will be in the board examination, not limited only to one quantity to be asked. There must be a supporting why, supporting what is gonna, it's not related. Acceleration is very far already. So since we know in physics, acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of velocity is the definition of acceleration. So we said acceleration, the rate of change. So rate meaning there's a time in the denominator, RATE. Put this in your brain cells. If you speak rate, it must be dependent on time. Because that's why, how much is your rate in your salary? So you will refer all the time with the day, with the math, because that is our denominator upon our computation. That is a rate. Okay. Now, survey rating in the election. Why rate also? Because it matters of how many months or how many span of months they are undergoing the survey. That's why month also. After 1 month, the survey is like this. That's rate, R-A-T-E. What I'm trying to emphasize, if we speak about the terminology or the term rate, time is very important and it must be in the denominator. Okay? Not in the numerator, in your computation. So that you can compute how many dollars he worked in a day plus overtime. Then compute for the rate, involve time in the denominator. Things like that also the same as here. You get the point mga palangga kung hitay. Okay? Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity and that is the definition. Since that is a rate, there must be a time in the denominator. So I would say velocity over the time. Ganon. We have the velocity in the problems given 3 times 10 meters per second and we don't know the time, right? But we have the radius, mga kalangga kumitan. So compute the area, pi r squared, and then you have the area. And then bingo, you can compute also the time for that, and then go back again to acceleration. You get the point? Acceleration is equal to velocity over time, we don't have the time. Okay? Then go back to the area computation. Ganun? Kailangan siya mga seconds, chuba-chucho, meter per second. Okay? So, makompute din mo siya mga kalamatang matad. Okay? Ganon. So, acceleration, velocity over time, like velocity. Okay? And then, acceleration is equals to force times mass. Okay? Acceleration is equals to from the second law of Newton. See? Nagbuhat kung akong kagaling yung formula on the spot. Just now. If I will ask the acceleration in this problem, things like this is very, very useful, guys, in taking examination, really. Okay? So calculate, if I will invent another, I will invent another, what shall I say? Calculate the acceleration of proton in a circular path. I will say, acceleration, velocity over the velocity mga kalangga. I don't have the acceleration, but remember, this is connected to Isaac Newton's law of second law of Newton. So I will say, force is equals to mass times acceleration, then acceleration is equals to the force over mass. I have the mass of the proton, I have the force also already computed here, which is the magnetic force in bingo. I can solve for the time, and the acceleration also as well. Ganon. Okay, you get the point? Okay. Or you can say this using the F is equals to mv squared over r. Okay, then you can have the force. Then substitute with the force equals to mass times A. You have the mass of the proton. Bingo, the acceleration will be there. Okay? And then you need to equate the acceleration in terms of the velocity over time and the acceleration in terms of mass. Force equals to mass acceleration. So acceleration equals to force over mass. and acceleration over velocity over time create another equation also as well. This is the interesting part of math. You can keep adding and adding and adding new equations if you know how to derive. And this is the magic of an engineer. Okay? Get the point? You don't have to have a limited understanding of how to derive. It should be maximization. Okay? Things like this, right? Example already. Okay, any questions so far for this? First time ko nag-quick guys, kung ako nag-buat na rin when I was in college, so ako given, force is equals to mass times acceleration, and then acceleration is equals to velocity times time, then acceleration is equals to force over mass, then therefore, okay, force over mass is equals to the acceleration v over t, then you can compute for the force is equals to, time, mass times velocity over time. So we have also force is equals to mass times velocity over time. This is a new formula. If you try to equate the second law of Newton and on the Coulomb's law of electric force, and also the Lorentz force, the Hendrik, right? No, Hendrik Lorentz law. Like gosh. Okay? Ganun siya mga palangga. Any questions so far? Mga hitag kong palangga. Okay, we are here, science academic information. Okay, we're not talking about politics here, nor sports. Okay, like that. Okay, because I'm very sleepy and I have still, even though I sleep, also I keep on thinking what's gonna be the topic tomorrow, something like that. Oh my gosh, okay. So, ako na siyang erase hand. Ano na siya? Okay? Ganon. Any questions so far mga palangga? Okay, wala na no? Okay. What else? Guys, there is also a trick part for this, a tricky part. Okay, since we know the equation is gonna be like the take note guys, there's no angle of inclination. Okay, di ba ninyo ko sa electromagnetic force na gano'n chuba-chucho? Electromagnetic force. Okay, wait. Okay, electromagnetic force is equal to the charge times the electric force plus the charge and the velocity of the magnetic force plus times the magnetic field. Like that. Okay, you get the point mga palangga. Here, in the term of the magnetic force, sometimes there is an angle of inclination. Sometimes, especially the K term will be parallel, like this, or the angle will be given directly. So don't depend all the time on this equation because sometimes there is angle chuba chucho here. Example, Q times B cosine theta, Q B sine theta, Q B tangent theta. It will be matter of the law of triangles of Pythagoras theorem. You will attach that there in your circular path, something like that. So what is a sine theta? So sine, you could create a triangle here, right? Triangle like this, blah blah blah, so and so. Okay, and then you will say tangent theta. Okay, is equals to the opposite side. Okay, B over the base. Opposite side B over the base A, and then arc tangent theta is equals to the base over the, okay, like that over the opposite side. Then ganun siya chuba-chucho. Okay. Now if you have 90 degrees, because this is a circular path, so this is, see, opposite side directly. Wait, no, it's really the adjacent. It's gonna be sine theta. Sine theta is equals to, A, ganon. A over the tangent. Okay, the hypotenuse. Let's say the hypotenuse will be H. You know hypotenuse? Get the point? The diagonal part if you erect the right triangle of Pythagoras theorem. Algebra. So it's gonna be, so H sine theta is equals to A. Since A is your base, the same as your horizontal distance, that's why you need to substitute the H sine theta here, beside the V, here. This is if the case, if not perpendicular, let's say 45 degrees. So if the problem will say, a proton travels 30 degrees in the incline, chuba-chucho. Calculate the magnetic force. You will insert that here somewhere along the way in the QV. Okay? So you will say QV H sine theta. Ganon. So the H will be your height, theta is your angle, and A is your base, because base A is your horizontal distance that your proton or a particle is moving, something like that. So you should be clever enough to know that fact that there must be a consideration of angle of inclination all the time, especially if it was mentioned in the problem, the angle chuba chuchu. Or even no angle chuba chuchu, you will say like that, for example, a diagonal, blah, 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 so and so, diagonal means like that. So you need to understand, diagonal, like this, a diagonal from the base, ganon. Not necessarily stating really the angle. So, diagonal from the base, and you have to sketch that one. Okay. And you can create also. Okay? Like that. Ikita ko yung mga palangga. Kaya sometimes mag mga palangga, i-connect na po din nato ang trigonometry, which is the radian. Okay? 2 pi radian, mga gano'n. So, here, will be the pi, 2 pi r. So, you need to compute also the in terms of radian, so that you can create an angle. That's why I told you, do not depend also on the angle, because you can compute the through pi radian in trigonometry. So this gonna be looks like more complex na siya talaga, right? Because there's no given of angle, but only the terms matter. For example, a proton traveling in an inclined position from the base. So there's no angle. Since you know we have the theory in trigonometry that states 2 pi, it's on the 180 degrees, 3/4 over pi. Like this. You will remember the theory of trigonometry so that you can convert the pi radian to degrees. And then apply that here also the Pythagorean theorem. The tangent theta, sine theta, cosine theta, it depends on what you are trying to compute na. Okay? If you're trying to compute the base, okay, if you compute the height, the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the diagonal distance in between the vertical y-axis and the horizontal x-axis. There must be a hypotenuse diagonal, okay? Like that. And that is very important, the tangent theta. Okay? Oh no, important in the sine theta and cosine theta pala, sorry. Because tangent theta don't need the hypotenuse. Only the opposite side and the base. You get the point? Ganon. So be careful also. But I think only expect the unexpected. Okay? Because that is examination in the future. We don't know. Okay? Ganon. So sometimes also, ano lagi siya? QV sine theta. Ganon. So QV, i-drop, 0 ang electric force. Ano? QV sine theta, okay, plus magnetic field. The theta here would mean the angle. Okay, most of the times, the angle will be given also. Okay? Most of the times. In fact, I don't really see problem that, involving pi radian pa muna. What I'm trying to emphasize, expect the unexpected, because we can correlate the angle to pi radian in trigonometry. Since your particles are traveling in circular motion, you can create angle of inclination somewhere along the way. Okay, so trigonometry, of course, will be applied. You get the point? Trigonometry, algebra, physics, and chemistry. Okay, will be applied in one problem. You get the point? Things like that. Okay, mga palangga. Okay, what else? So what else we need to know? Okay, now, so electromagnetic forces is a very special type of force, huh? Okay, we need to go back to the fundamental forces, type of fundamental forces, right? Okay. Yes, if you want to take up BS physics, then you should learn these things. And then if you further upgrade your profession to become a physicist, then you need to go with the physics. You need to study Masters of Physics and PhD in physics. And after that, doctor in physics. And you can make your own book after passing the thesis. And then you will be declared as a physicist in the future. So another physicist is coming from like this. Oh, di ba sikat ka physicist? Wow, we have a neighbor physicist. Charot. Okay? You get the point? So dahil kang agian, BS, Bachelor's of Science, Masters of Science in Physics. After that, we have to take PhD and the doctorship of physics. And then that's the time your thesis will be submitted, okay, like blah 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 to the government or whatever to approve to have you have a status of become a physicist or a scientist. Okay, then the requirement really is to have your own book. Before to become a scientist, one requirement is to have your own authored book. Okay, aside from your thesis studies and scientific research, you need to be certified or it need to be patented, copyright on that particular year. All rights reserved, created by Dr. Ganganan. Okay, before you will be called a physicist. The same also with chemist. Okay, okay, like that. This is not chemist through experience, but chemist through extensive research and study. Because once you are in the laboratory, you're already called a chemist. But what I'm trying to emphasize is through research, study, and legit physicist talaga, or chemist talaga na mag-create siyang mga books or mga studies. Okay? Scientific research. It's not more on the actual experience, more on the, deeper knowledge, in combination also of technology. Okay? Because during also the approval of the thesis, you need to do a lot of experimental analysis in order to prove your study. Okay, it's not enough only writing, the statements, the words. You have to undergo the actual sampling of your analysis, and you do that in the laboratory. So how successful is that? And you need to know yourself. You need to have your correlation there by applying the mathematics and science before come up. Of course, you make a book. Okay, how can you fully certify that book if you do connect that to actual experimentation? Okay, live in the laboratory. So you need to support that also somewhere along the way in your content before you can have the generalization and the summary of your thesis study and your scientific research. I know these things, guys, because I learned this from University of San Carlos when I took up the master's. Okay, like that, but I did not finish. Okay, something like that. Okay, mga palala ko, hita. But I'm not taking up the physics and the chemistry. I am in the environmental. It's far. Okay? Because I connect that to my profession now, being an HSE engineer, and there's an there's an environment part of HSE, and I need to intensify more about that. That's why I take up Masters of Science in Environmental Science. Okay? Something like that. I love the environment. Charot. Because we are living in the environment. We need to protect the planet Earth. Charot. Okay? For our younger generations to enjoy. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this live streaming. You can comment, you can like, you can share if you want, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you want also. And you can click the bell notification of I am a singer, eternal voice, purely and academic information, and sometimes also related to OSH, occupational safety and health, and sometimes also personal vlogging. It depends on the situations and my mode. Oh, thank you so much. Kadahan na nanaoy. Ma'am Lenny Robredo, Baby and Z-Vlog. Wow. Lenny Robredo. Gigamit na niya ang profile ni Lenny Robredo. Thank you kayo kakamping. I love you. Okay. Sir, can you sing for us? Wow! Uy, bawal, uy! Nagkaluka. Kantaon ko ninyo. Nagkaluka. Gabi na kaayo niya. Bawal ba yung Charot. Okay, later na lang after Ramadan. Okay? What's this? Ay ko pakantahan ninyo. Okay, saba kayo. Okay? Laoy, mga limlim kaya akong fans. Thank you so much, kakamping. Wala di ko'y BBM nga fans. Pakyaw, nasa ko'y pakyaw nga fans. Lah, nagkaluka. Sir, sing for us. Sir, kanta Sara-Sara, please. Sige, kanta ko Sara-Sara ha. Karit lang. Okay. Naman ni-request. Thank you kasi yung pagtanaw guys ha. Huwag yung matubi ha. Okay. Sara, Francisa, Lini, kontrabida. Sara, Francisa, Lenny, Engitira. BBM, Sara, panalo na. Ganon. Naman ni-request, Sara. Okay, thank you kaayo. Sir, naatay quiz next meeting. Yes, I have to do that. Please prepare, and there must be a prize of 5,000 pesos and BBM Sara t-shirt plus tarpaulin, but it's too late already. The election will be on May 9th. It's gonna be cash prize naman talaga siya if you will get perfect in the examination. Perfect, take note, perfect. If you have a mistake of 1 lang, di na ka makadawat ng 5,000 pesos. Okay? Sivag. BBM Sara panalo na. Laoy na bibig. Napoy BBM Sara. Okay. Sir, unsay coverage next meeting? Okay, our coverage next meeting will be gravitational force para di ta mga lagbot sa outer space. Okay? Lenny Robredo. Actually, guys, this is not the real Lenny Robredo, but the account profile is Lenny Robredo. Okay, Lenny Robredo, our topic next tomorrow will be gravitational force. Para di ka mga lagpot sa outer space. Because if we don't have gravity, then we are floating somewhere else in this planet Earth. Okay. Ganda talaga ng boses. Yes. Lini again. Hi mga kakampik, let Lini lead. Laoy. Kadagan akong fans mga kakampik. Laoy, I love you guys. Charot. Naging-peace sila sa akong okay. Si Pacquiao, Sir, asa ka palit imo eyeglass? Okay, palit na ako akong eyeglass dito sa Kuan, sa Riyadh City. Okay, and I use my insurance in buying this. Okay? What else? Sir BBM, sabi, uy. Nihawa yung message. Sir BBM o Junior Kantal? Kuan ko both. Kaya si Junior Kantal, alam mo na kaliwat, guys. Kaliwat sa kong mama, may paklan Kantal. Because my mother also Kantal. Okay? Actually, we are Kantal, Lapitan, Nepomuceno. Okay? Like that. Because my mama, middle name is something like, you know, Undak. Okay, my grandmother, last name is Kantal. Okay? So, the middle name of my mother is Kantal. And her last name is Lapitan. When he married, she became Nepomuceno, like that. With my father, Nepomuceno. Okay, so I basically Kantal, Lapitan, Nepomuceno. Okay, solid BBM, sir. Yes, solid kayo tanong. Okay, especially for the SRP rally. Okay, sir, thank you for the knowledge. Yes, I will share my knowledge before I die to the younger generations for free. Okay, Sir Italiano, gold na imo microphone. Ay, makatawa siya po ninyo guys. Kasi Italiano, uy. Italiano, kato man ang gold ni Marcos, uy. Ay na nag-diskutin yung gold. Okay, kung takibaw kino, medyo bibili. Kung Bisaya na nang kaya akong mga, siguro kani sila akong mga fans karong higuin na lang are all Bisaya. Sir, mag-attendance ta. Yes, mag-attendance ta, okay? Pero sorry guys, because you know, your profile will be lost immediately in my screen. This is live streaming. So, it's not like a laptop in the chat section. Your message will not be disappearing, but in the mobile phone, it will disappear and come back, disappear. I cannot do the attendance. Okay? Like, basta mag-examination ta ha, pagtuon mo guys, para perfect. Dako na ba kayo ng 5,000? Di ba nyo makita sa dalan? Okay, what else? Italiano, Gika. Saan mo na? Sir Imo Banks Bakyo, thank you. Thank you kayo. Oy, appreciation na kayo na. I love your haircut very much. Thank you so much. Oy, nakakaloka kayo mga palangga. Si VGG. Unsa pa ni alam, sir, I love your haircut. Oh, Pacquiao, shout out. Pacquiao, ilang mga profile ni mga lain man, hindi man siya mga real. Sir, mana imo klase? Yes, mana akong klase. I took up BS Chemical Engineering in Cebu Institute of Technology. Okay? Like that. So, mana akong study. At the same time, nahuman ko sa akong first semester. I'm not finishing my Master's in Environmental Science in the University of San Carlos. I did not finish it. Okay? Sir, why should we vote for BBM? We should vote for BBM because he's a very good person, humble, down to earth, and a visionary leader that has the characteristic of, you know, consistency in her purpose and goal to make our country great again. Okay? Something like that. And we need unity so that there is strength. And if there is strength and there is unifying strength, then success will be there. Okay? On the spot yun ha, yung sagot ko. Okay. Sir, why should we vote? Ano pa yan? Nawala pa. Okay, sir, absent daw si Bongbong kay hadlock sa recitation. Actually, he's not afraid. He don't want only to listen the same story over and over again because he answered up everything already. The accusations, the allegations in the past, and there's no evidence, something like that. And for him, he is already tired and keep on repeating that over and over again. That's why he need to, refuse and go to the public for face-to-face campaign to really, to really convince the hearts of the people, the majority of the Filipino people, the real sympathy of the Filipino people, so that we will be united and then we can achieve our purpose of one nation. Ganon. What else? Tubagong tamutanan. Sir Lini ko, pero when I saw your shared post, DDM na ako. So, really? Okay, thank you so much if that is true. Okay, because I really have to ponder every time, every second, every minute, I need to ponder, I need to think. And before doing the, thinking, deep thinking or profound thinking, I need to research also on different sites. In fact, I read also the Plataforma of Lenny Robredo. Okay? And I read the other platforms also. Not, if I am a BBM, I also read the others. Okay? And then I also listen to their sites. In fact, I watched the Lenny Robredo, campaign rally in Cebu. Okay, in YouTube. I'm not really that kind of BBM Sara that always watch BBM Sara all the time. I find time to watch also so that I can correlate, I can compare. Okay, who among them really is trying to say the truth, something like that. Okay? Okay. Sir, tinood nga musuyok o noodle si BBM or guni-guni lang? Actually, guni-guni lang siya doon. Okay? It's a purely hallucination based on vested interest of those supporters that want to degrade this BBM because BBM is very, very popular and kept top number one in the online surveys and in actual surveys also as well. That's why they try to, put negative, adjectives or try to, destroy the reputation and credibility of this guy. Okay, what else? Nutriban? Yes, Nutriban. Lamig kayo na siya doon in 1980s. That's the time of Ferdinand E. Marcos. Okay, ang dami na ng message. Sir, tungod ni mo, ganahan ako mubangon og sayo. Ha? Ano man? Okay, because you are inspired, right? And good. We are inspired by the power of God. Okay. So, sir, nakikanti ka pag-rally, sir. Oh, wala kaya. I'm working abroad. You're joking. Sir, tinuod, corrupt ang pamilyang Marcos. For me, it's not really proven and convicted, though there's a lot of complaints. Okay? And the only issue, based on my research, the only issues of Aquino's claims against corruption is they should always keep gathering documents that are not certified through copy, not original. And the Supreme Court don't want that. They need original documents. They keep on so many thousands of documents, but all are photocopies. If those are photocopies, there's no authenticity. Okay, we can judge that it's not authentic, maybe fabricated or something like that. That's why until now they are not yet convicted because lack of solid evidence. Okay. What else? Sir, na news naman good sir na corrupt ilang family. Yes, because it's really propaganda since time of immemorial. That is a twisted history. Because since 1986 to 20 until Noynoy, the Dilawans are really fabricating our textbooks, our newspapers, the mainstream media, the TV networks, that what we heard is always against the Marcoses. So when we grow, it will engrave in our brains that these people are bad. But then we need to research that one. It's impossible that we keep on repeating bad stories over and over again. Then we cannot move on from the past. And we will not be buried from the past, but because we don't know the past have a mysterious facts that cannot be judged by our eyes because we are not there. We are not born in that particular era. Okay, so things like that, what we heard in the news. What if these newspapers, news media are funded by the liberal parties, the ones in which these are really their tactics to degrade and to destroy the reputation of this Marcos's family. So things like this, okay? What else? Okay. Okay, guys, I will tell you something. All the cases against Marcos doesn't win. Okay, something like that. Because in every cases that the Marcos win, they will pay money to the Marcosans because it's against their reputation. Okay, what I really read, if the more they keep on having a complaint cases and Marcos will always win, there's an equivalent money that these people complain. Okay, meaning to say because they are trying to make a bad reputation. Every making bad of reputation, and during the case they will be lost. They will pay money to the Marcoses. Okay, so be sure that if you make a complaint or case, you will win, so that you will never pay money against the Marcoses. Okay, that's why nobody dares to file a new case against them. These cases are from 80s, 90s, not at present. Okay, it will just only use for politics. Okay, just to destroy again because it's happening somewhere else in the 80s and the 90s. Since these Bubo Marcos are keep topping the surveys, they will do something in order to pull the rating. And the people will not believe that because they are using this as a black propaganda and they're using this just only to, to criticize, a tactic to, to destroy one's candidacy. Okay, what else? Okay, sir, imong sayaw ka balik sara-sara magbibiin na jud ko. Sayaw na lang. Okay, pagbibiin no, gusto mo magbibiin mo Dito mag-talk about politics, mag-lisod jud og politics. Actually sa Pacquiao na rin kaso. Okay, wanya bayri ang ticket sa airplane pa doon sa California. Okay, na i-complete staff a case. Okay, and also the taxes in the government. I think 2.2 billion. President Rodrigo Duterte spoke. Okay? What else? Muna yung kaso ni Manny Pacquiao. Okay? O katapong yung kaso ng personally na siya anak, wala niya pa naguti. Personal, di ba na mumata ang personal, no? But, muna yung baho. Okay, what else? Na siya anak sa gawas, but wala niya gi-honored. Okay, wala. Gi-honored niya, pero murag wala niya sustintuhin. Murag mo na istorya, okay? Okay. Sir, anak daw, ako lula. Lulo, kabasa nahawa na sabi mong message. Ako lula Marcos daw kay kaayo. Diba sir, ako kay nutriban ni ako gibidyo. O nutriban lang yun, nutriban dong. Okay. Talaga na message siya ni, hindi mo na ako. Ako mga entertainment, gawag ka lang naman. Hindi ko ako revenue. Kaya, kung nagandra pa ba rin ako revenue na ako akong kita. Charot. Sige pa, chat mo. Ate manan jud ta mo. Charot. Sige na. Oh, sir, why Bongbong Marcos? Ako naman natubag, Okay, again. Why Bongbong Marcos? Because Bongbong Marcos is a humble person. Okay, of all the candidates, he is the most sincere to make our country great again. And he is a visionary leader and a very authentic person that don't want to criticize others. He focused on himself to present the platform of government and then keep on going, moving and moving and moving for the real purpose to make our country great again. Bangon muli Pilipinas. Unity. BBM Sara. Good night. Sir, how about the unpaid estate? Okay, estate tax is a amana tax. Okay, it's not really a tax through cash. Okay, this is starting from 1994. Okay, and then this is gonna be a mysterious again. A mysterious, what do you mean mysterious? Just like a math, there's an equation involved. Okay, for example, corruption. Corruption is equal to Aquino, plus Marcos, okay, plus BIR, plus PCGG. There's a components why there's a corruption. It's not only pointed to one family. Now, for example, if Ms. Marcos has already paid the taxes, and this BIR keeping the money, and the PCGG is always, acting as a treasurer to get this money, Then after all, from 1994 to 2022, where this money came from? Okay? Meaning to say, we don't know where the money goes. Since the case is against Marcos, that's why they will still use that against to Marcos because the case against originally to Marcos. But they are starting to pay that and it's still on the process because there's a lot of cronies. Okay, the cronies already gave the payment, something like that. But this BIR is the most corrupt agency in our country. So we don't know where the money goes that this Marcos is paid. Get the point? Since this case is not really yet convicted until now, this is what we call inheritance tax mana, meaning not directed to individual ownership. For example, I am Sotero. My parents have estate tax. This is about property. It's not cash. All you have to do is to return this property, something like that. And then the government will sequester these properties, something like that. Okay, what I understand because I'm not really studying politics, but I'm just reading something like that. Okay, so it's been a long time that this PCGG and they are sequestering all these properties. Okay, that's why they don't have anymore the responsibility to pay it back. Okay, that's why it keep on growing. And this BIR and PCGG are not continuing their job on, to keep on, what is this one? Keep on recalling. They try to forget because there's something going on in between the PICGG and the BIR. Okay? You get the point? Like that. Okay? So, the Aquino is creating this PCGG and then PCGG and the BIR are communicating with each other and Marcos is out of that equation anymore. Okay, because they paid that before long time ago and they don't know where the money goes. And the problem is, if that is an original case coming filed against them, the original case is directed also to them, to the Marcoses. Okay, it will never change. Okay, but the situation will change. The status quo, meaning what is the real status for this. So it's between PCGG and BIR. They are keeping the properties and the money that they sequestered from the cronies of Marcos. And also the money involved, whatever, something like that, okay? You get the point? Ganon. So that's only purely exaggerated. Okay? Because election was used in election. Imagine 23 years plus, they try to recall that. Be attached because there's an election. What if there's no election? Why they don't collect that? They are waiting for the election to come and just the time they collect. So there's something wrong because of their vested interest. Okay? Because these guys are also related to this, Liberal Party, Kakampik, whatever. Okay? Things like this. A conspiracy against Marcos. Conspiracy. Okay. Take the definition in the dictionary, you will understand. Okay. So what are your thoughts about Lenny? Lenny actually is a good person for me, mahimhin, like that. But for me, he was really used as an instrument to destroy the government's goal of prosperity and progress in our land because of vested interest. And this girl is used as a puppet for communism and rebellious acts in our country. Okay? This was originally created by Joe Masison, the father of communism, partnered with Benigno Aquino Sr. Okay? Benigno Aquino Sr. wants to become a president at that time. He is a senator at that time. He can never defeat Ferdinand Marcos because Ferdinand Marcos is very brilliant, smart, something, and the people is keep on trusting Ferdinand Marcos for 20 years, something like that. And he cannot find a way to defeat. Okay? So that's why they create something to topple down or overthrow the regime of President Marcos. That's why they are collaborating with Juma Sison. And then they try to fund these people to create APAs, mga rebelde, or whatever. And they try also to call the international people, the US, something like that, to back up them, and they keep on feeding negative stories against the Marcos. Okay? Since at that time there's no social media, the people believe immediately by the books, because the books also are created by the Aquinos. Remember in elementary, keep saying Marcos is corruption, like this, but that's not true. Okay, they're just doing that for their self-interest. Okay, something like that. You get the point? So, meaning to say, we are living a twisted history, twisted. And the one who twisted that history is the Aquino regime. Okay, Aquino regime is basically a failure presidency. Okay, like that. Because of them, our country suffers a lot of poverty level. Okay, like that. And our economic policies are not strengthened at their time also. Okay, and their budget is so big, trillions of trillions, but their projects and accomplishments are not really visible to the eyes of the people. Because if you see the projects by our eyes, that could prove already track records. Not, even if that people are, known to be bad or whatever, as long as there are visible projects that we can enjoy, we can be benefited, or we see in our eyes, then sometimes, because there's no perfect person, even though these people sometimes they are bad in their lives, then it can be covered through the performance or the track records of these people. Okay? Because there's no such perfect politicians in the whole world. All we have to do is to take account of their qualifications, how smart they are to run the country into progress and to unite the people for prosperity, to improve the economic policies and foreign policies as well. Okay, and then, the stories, things like that. Nakakaloka. Tabian kayo guys. Okay, what else? Sir, kasuway na ka o bayook. Isa man nakasuway ko when I was in elementary. Okay? Sir, did you know that a lot of communist supporter, no, that is only twisted history because, they need to defeat Marcos, but they cannot. Okay? Like that. They will do something. Okay? So, in short, ato nang ibisan, ilang pakamatyan para rin makalaos si Marcos. Okay? Buhaton ang tanan. Ipin sa ipin. Ganon. Sira sa sira. Okay? Tikas sa tikas. Para budaog lang yun sila. Okay? Sir, did you know that a lot of communists, manana siya, sir, kinsang imong, personal naman kayo, my first kiss is I shout out to my head of the chemical, actually, I'm not kissing my head of the chemical engineering department, it was my birthday. Okay, she is the one who kissed me for the very, very first time. Engineer Amis Pakamalang. Okay? It was my birthday at the time. And he said, "Happy birthday, Sotero," and he kissed me in my face. And that was the first time in college I received my first kiss with my instructor, not Jowa. But that was a greeting kiss. Okay? Because you're asking, who is your first kiss, right? Then my first kiss is our head in chemical engineering department, Ma'am Amis Pakamalan, during my birthday. Okay? Unsay ni feel nimo, sir? I was feel great because that was my first time. In fact, our parents are teasing us when we are still a baby, but we don't recognize it by our naked eyes, or we do not feel it because what they bought. And at that time I was a college already, but of course I will be happy when somebody kissed me, right? Okay. Di na ako kinumdum ana, among gingon, wa mo kasuy ana. Okay. Ayaw og tanduga ang natulog. Unsa man ayaw og tanduga ang natulog? Kay ni Robredo o ano man siya din? Gisingin ang natitirang lakas. Ganon. Speech man nilini, ang natutulog ay kailangan ganon ay especially na yung anak. Hindi na ako memorize. Okay, gisingin ang natitira pang lakas. Ganon. Diba? Unsay apelyido ni FPJ? FPJ? Laoy, kalisod sa ani. Po, diba? Fernando Po Jr. I think Po. Sir, asa man imong ikuan? Thank you guys sa pagtanaw guys sa ako dyan mong manon. Kaya panagsara kayo ng mananaw sa akong video. Okay. Sir, unsay apelyido? Okay. Sir, unsay Sir, sir, good night sana ako kayo. Mas dito ako. Okay, good night, baby M. Okay. Nga no, pa-victim permi imo. Ay, kasi may akong idol. Akong idol si BBM ba yan? Not Lenny. Okay? Pacquiao. Kung sabihin, hello Pacquiao. Nakaloka, yung mga account name bakit puro mga kami president. Okay. Sir, pa-shout out ni Ian Silim. Shout out Ian Silim. Lenny Robredo told me to do this. Okay, what else? Okay, sige. Chat mo, kaya naman ako kang vlog. Tomorrow, gravitational force ta ha. Okay, anam-anama inyong kagaling mo sa third law of Isaac Newton in physics. In every interaction. Okay. Sir, good night. Wala ka kakuya. Sige, kapuy dyan ko ka akong brain cells. Grabe dyan ko na-accumulate ang mga stock knowledge. Okay, what else? Nasa ko na, muling ko nilang ko ha. Tubagong kabutanan. Okay, kaya sa. Tubagong kabutanan, kaya sige message na ako pa nagsarabian niya. Okay? Ari ko diri. Mukhaon daw ako kabush. Mukhaon mo kabush. Mga palangga. Kabush. Nako'y kabush. Okay? Hello guys. Salamat kasi yung pagtanaw ha. Okay, mga palangga kumitan. Okay, but before, sulti lang ko niya, tomorrow, mag-gravitational force tano. Inyong studihan ang katungkuan, guys, all about, weight force, ganon, equals to the mass and the acceleration due to gravity, something like that. I think it was studied on fourth year high school, which relates to the metric and system units of acceleration due to gravity, 9.81 meter per second squared, and also 32.2 feet per second squared. These are the constants of acceleration due to gravity. So the gravitational force, guys, is there to the toward to the Earth's surface, downward, something like that. If I will say how much weight you will be able to achieve if you will be living in the moon, okay, compared to you're in the Earth. Okay, kakagising ko lang. Thank you so much, BBM. BBM ang gulimong profile. Dukit sa mga tinuulong. Ang dami na dong. Okay, kahibaw ka mo twerk. I don't know what's twerk all about. I don't have twerk FB account, mga palangga. Okay, sir, just woke up and I'm mesmerized by your beauty. Yes, my beauty is coming from the Lord. Okay, kaila ka ko limpangog, sir. I think silingan na lang sila. Okay, but I know very well her sister, Miss Lin Limpangog. Okay, sir, just, okay. Good morning, sir. Kagising ko lang. Good morning po. Sir, what can you say about the NASA scientists warning about climate change? Okay. So we need to solve climate change. So all we have to do is we have a very strong program of the minimization of the exposure of airborne contaminants or gaseous contaminants in the atmosphere. So every country must have a strong program regards the alleviation of this type of release of gases, because these obnoxious gases will really, degrade the ozone layer of the sun. And if the layer of the sun, the outer layer of the sun, which is the O3, three atoms of oxygen, okay, it is in the outer layer of the sun. It's become thinner and thinner and thinner. That's why it's becoming hot. Then the radiant energy heat transfer from the sun to the planet Earth will be very, very, very high. So to control that one is really will depend on us. We should discipline ourselves not to always, give off this type of gases. We should have to control. We should have a very effective environmental program monitoring in different industries that will release various type of gases into the atmosphere. And also, the government will collaborate to these private sectors or the private companies to strengthen this kind of program, alleviation of toxic gases or whatever gases to be released, because we have so many greenhouse gases that could change also, that could alter also the beauty of our atmosphere. And what happened really, guys, if this is gonna be the case, we don't have really an ideal atmosphere today because it will eaten up the molecules of oxygen gas in the atmosphere. Since oxygen is the reactive gases of all the gases in the planet Earth and the universe, then we can say our world will be contaminated, especially the atmosphere, with these obnoxious gases and harmful gases around us. And I think they have also programmed to eliminate this, not to eliminate, but to reduce this. Only thing is, some countries are not controlling this seriously. That's why it happens. And then this NASA, of course, they will be triggered for this, and they will need to create something to control. That's why they have to warn us to be responsible enough to care our planet Earth and to nurture our planet Earth for our younger generations because these mistakes are purely humans, okay, artificial. Okay, meaning to say it is really fabricated by the people, not the nature, because it's already processes. It's not natural. There's a chemical reaction involved here from different chemical separation processes and physical separation processes of different processes all over the world. Not limited only to to gaseous or oil and gas companies, but also other products as well. Normally, they will be involved gases also for their power generating sources, the coal or whatever, fuel, something like that. So, it would be better also to use renewable sources to limit also this exposure of this, contaminant gases. Actually, we call them hazardous air pollutants. There are at least, I think, based on my memorization, there's at least 185 hazardous air pollutants. Correct me if I'm wrong. 185 plus. I don't know really exactly this only flashback in my brain cells now. It's gonna be like that. I mean, into control. Most of them are highly related to hydrocarbons and then highly, organic, meaning composition of carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms. Something like that. Okay, those are hydrocarbons, right? And then it will produce gases into the atmosphere and then problem choo. Because oxygen gas is anywhere, it will react. Okay? Because oxygen is a reactive gas. It will contaminate to our atmosphere. Okay? It's gonna be like that. And we should be thankful to God we have 79% by volume of nitrogen gas and 21% by volume of oxygen. The only thing is we keep on releasing oxygen gases into the atmosphere, then it will eaten up the molecules of oxygen. Now our oxygen level is not perfect anymore. Okay, because nitrogen gas is unreactive, inert gas. It will never react, only the oxygen. And that's why if you try to compute the molecular weight of air, okay, it doesn't change the percentage of the nitrogen. Okay, for example, molecular weight of air composed of nitrogen and oxygen gas only, no other gases. Okay, there are other gases due to contamination. You get the point? Krypton, like this, xenon gases or whatever, chlorine gas, sulfuric dioxide, carbon monoxide for the for the vehicles. Okay, greenhouse gases. Okay, and anything. So many. I could not teach everything because this moment will not be enough to discuss everything about gases. Okay, you get the point, mga palangga kumitan, because if I'm giving a time to discuss that all, then I have to start the theory on the properties, how it behaved to the environment, how it behaved to the process in the real scenario of a factory or a company, something like that. Okay, so it's not enough, guys, to say everything about climate change. Okay, like that. The important there is a strong program to dwindle the level. Dwindle meaning to elevate, to reduce the level of this contaminant gases into the atmosphere. Because this is the reason why the climate will change, right? Okay. Hinaya lang tingog sir, oy, okay. Mo man jud kay hilig magikog mga reporting when I was in high school and college. I love reporting, that's why. Ako baba din hunong, no? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, sir, can you sing happy birthday for me? It's my birthday. Wait, grabe binuon sa mo ha. Oy, birthday yun ni Bol. Okay. Pag sure, oy, birthday ni Bol. Kaloka. Okay, guys, kay matong ako ha, kay masa entertainment ka mahantod ko ano. Sa pa. Sige, message mo mga palangga, live streaming ba yan ni? Okay. Please, what a nice voice. Sumukang kahon, gamay lang kayo ha. Hinayin lang ako. Sa bawat pag-ikot ng ating buhay, may oras kailangan na maghiwalay. Bawal yung kumanta ko. Ramadan man guys, uwi. Okay. Isa pa. Ganahan ko mag-load sometimes. Okay. Pero akong genre talaga guys is biritan. Yes. Belting out of high notes because my voice will shift if too high. I can be able to use mix of from falsetto, head voice like that, chest voice. I can manage all types of voices including opera. Okay, it's a gift from God. It's a gift, not a skill. What is the difference between a gift and a skill? The gift is given when you are still inborn. Okay, and then you will just develop that. Okay, day by day, through practice and research. But a skill, you need to study that, even though that is not a gift originally or inborn. Okay, that's the difference between a skill and a gift. Me, it's a gift from God. From day one I was born on earth, I already sing. Okay? And I joined singing competitions also before. Okay? What a nice voice. Thank you. Okay, sir. Okay ra ko mabutar ni Lini. Okay ra kayo do. Butar si Lini para mataas ko din yung score. Okay. Narani mo. Okay. Sa pa Jude. Kasi Pacquiao na. Sige lang, delete sa yung message do. Ay, delete yung message Pacquiao. Uy, nabuang mga Pacquiao. May numotyo ko ninyo guys, kaya inyong mga profile account to, mga kandidato. Okay. Leni Robredo. Sir, okay ra ko bubutar ni Lini. Okay lagi kayo, eh? Sure. Okay. What else? Wala na mo. Nahurot din yung mga message guys. Matog na sir. Matog na kayo. Matog na po ko. After matog na po ko. Gabi na kay diri. Sa pa Joy. Okay. Sige, pagkatanan mo. Ba sa ako mga career path. Okay, whatever. Profession. Experience. In the, in the chemical engineering related experience. Or what else. Okay. Okay, good night, BBM. Good night, Lenny Robredo. Yes, mag-live ko tomorrow. Watch me about gravitational force. Ha? Matug na mo? O kadlaw na ba diha ay? Sutug na mo balik. Uy, kadlaw na ba diha? Uy, la. 11 to... Tutug mo balik. Uy, kadlaw na. Lasing ko na. 11, 12, 1, 2. Alas 3 na diha. Mata dyan mo. Mo-chat na ako. Okay, sir. Ugma lang ni mamutana. Kasi pumutana mo ha. Tanang forces, name it. I will try to discuss. Dili mo ko hamogero. Kanang... Ako lang itong kami sa tinuod ba, nga mauna ang may tabo. Okay. Ako para makatabang po ko ba, di ba? Hapit ko ba yung mga kuan? Sa chemical engineering, hapit na yung board exam. May. At least makatabang po ko sa mga nag-review. Okay. Ganon. Di ba? So, kumutin ka mo board exam, guys, inyo na dyan i-target ang top notcher. Okay? Para pasar mo ba? Di mo mahagbong kay mo. Engr mo pasar mo. More or less mahagbong man mo. Aim high talaga siya. Okay? Muna akong ginabuhat sa una. Sa pa. Okay, sir. Salamat. Okay, tug na dang. Doom or die one. Hindi ko ba ninyo. Little bit or die. Di ba? Ay, nakakala ka mga palangga. Uy, mukhaon naman kong kabush. Di ba? Uy, salamat kasi yung pagtanaw ha, tugod ninyo, saka dyan akong revenue sa kuan, YT. Uy, tanaw sa akong mga videos ha, explore ko. Lain na sa mga luto ko, uy, ni kakuan, ni ka Thursday, mga luto ko kuan, potato galore. Diba? Mag-personal vlogs ko, okay, sa Thursday. Okay, di ay sir. Unsa nang kabush sir? Ang kabush ka naman na siya katong si Kristo dito nag-divide siya sa inyong kuan disciples to 8 to 7,000 people. Jesus Christ, he tried to divide to all the people like a circle. Darao, I'm showing you ang kabush. Kabush. Darao. Hindi siya kabush, circle, with a diameter of something. Di ba, kabush? O, mag-theory dito sa kabush. Di ba, ang kabush circle? So, ang yung area is pi r squared and yung circumference 2 pi r. In diameter, 2 times radius. Okay, circle man ang kabush, makompute din mo ang radius sa kabush. Kung yung diameter. Di ba? Circle man. What else? Muna siya ang kabush. Diba? There is white caboose and brown caboose, but I love brown caboose. Okay? Okay. Mga circle din guys, insert din yung mga formula. O, diba? Para makatapon yung tanan ba? Diba? Para masaya ang world. Okay? What else? Mga palangga akong hitan. Maka-deliver ka sa San Fernando, sir. Caboose? Huwag mong ko diha doon, naman ko sa gawas. Okay, isa pa. Naman ko sa gawas, uy, saan ako pag-deliver sa kabush? Huwag mo kumaning daog kabush, uy, libre naman sa company. Kaloka. Ay, nako, mga palangga. Diba? Mabilis niya na lang jug ko. Kaya muna akong dialects, akong natawhan. Charot. Sa pa, urakoy mus ara sir gutom kaayo good. O, di mo katag mo kabush, layo mo kunin niyo oy. Sir, pag mukbang daw, kasi mukbang, ka na kaon no, daghan kayo style ka kaon, ano mukbang. Okay, asang gawa sir. Capital city of Saudi Arabia. Okay sir, saya nga mga yuta ko. Laoy nabuang mapano sa kabush ni deliver diha. Kaloka. Ano lang kami nakikailang nga taga Saudi, uy, pagdag kabush, magdag kabush, di pa man nababaho ang kabush dayon, ikaabot sa Pilipinas. Di ba? Yes, Lenny Robredo, tinuod ka. Yes, I am here. Sir, na kay Gcash, uy, talain, may pakyaw, uy, hindi na ko Gcash, uy. Ang ano man. Okay. I-perfect lagi ninyo akong exam para matagaan ka mo cash price na 5,000 pesos. Diba? Ganon, mga palang kagungitan. Uy, na nag-text diri ay, online chat diri akong paminaw mo ha, bahini ko Lenny. Uy, Lenny, paminaw. Kaya pa sa ha. Na Lenny diri ay, ingo din na, pagpasana. Nga diba? Masawa na ko ha. Paminaw sa mga kadayot. Kaya pa sa. Okay, sir, ahay mas lami, kabush or, masawa kabush or shumay? Shumay yung lagi doon, uy, of course. Diba? Alangan man. Naigipusin ko, Lenny. Tapos ako basahan. Sama na, Lenny ba di? Di. Tapos ako basahan ka tatawag. University of Cebu, Maritime Campus sa Cebu. Ni mo siya dali ari. Tapos naman pala akong hitada. Okay. Sir, wala akong work kasi mag-work tahi. Yes, mag-work na mag-collaborate sa YouTube. Uy, pwede mo ito mag-collaborate, pero wala ko itong kita. Okay? Ganon. Isa pa. Okay, nga magpunta ba magang, di ba? Para mo ko atong channel. Fake news man sir, tanawa ang grammar o spelling sa iyo. Ano sa man oy sa University of Cebu? Naman din to all regular maritime students, Captain Joy Burgos, Engineer Villas Jr., Office of Maritime Dean, Presidential Campaign for VP Lini Robredo, April 18, 2022. This is to inform your office that the University of Cebu will be having a presidential campaign of VP Lini Robredo this coming April 2022. At 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the afternoon, the UCLM Annex 2 Social Hall. Snacks will be provided and Miss Candice Gutaloy will be joining us. With this, please invite 150 regular students in each department to attend the same gathering. This is inclusive for the regular maritime students. Yes, the wrong grammar is here, right? Exclusive dapat dili inclusive. I want your utmost confidence. Ito rin wrong grammar. Wrong grammar. This is exclusive, right? Not inclusive. This is exclusive for the regular verbs. This is I want your no apostrophe also because apostrophe meaning you are, right? So if you try to put this, I want you are your only. Don't put apostrophe and don't put e as in eagle. I want your utmost cooperation. The spelling of utmost also is wrong. It is U-T-M-O-S-T, one word only. Wrong grammar, the last sentence also. Okay? Second to the last and the last sentences, wrong grammar. Okay? But please accept the fact because their dean is an engineer. Engineers are not expected to be good in English. Only few engineers can speak English well. Okay? Not all. Because engineers love numbers. Okay? They cannot speak spontaneously in English. Only few. Okay? Again, it's a gift from God. Okay? From the time you are growing, it's just coming to you immediately without trying too much effort to talk spontaneously, too fast, comprehensively, fluent. It will just come to you in a on the spot, something like that. Not prepared, not scripted. It will just be coming out in your mouth, something like that. If you're really good in English, okay, or having a good English speaking skills, something like that. Okay. Yeah, it can be practiced, but what I mean, if it is really inborn, the better. Okay, you get the point. Okay, so things like this could be in either two types because there's also good in writing or making report, doing documents, but they cannot convert those documents and reports into words. They cannot easily express and discuss, but they are very smart to make the report like that through writing, something like that. But in oral, they cannot deliver well. Okay, something like that. Or they can deliver well, especially the engineers, but direct to the point. Okay? No need of talking that much, description or whatever. No more articulation like that. No more sugar-coated words. No more decoration, something like that. They will just speak directly to the point. So these are usually the attitude of an engineers. Okay. But there are also some who can speak in articulation, very articulate, spontaneous and fluent, but not so many, admittedly. Okay? Get the point? That's it. What else? Any questions so far? My gosh. Okay, nakatok na gyud mo, matok na lang pud ko wala naman mo chat na ako. Okay, guys. Mga palangga, thank you kaayo pag-watch ng kadlaw na ba yan mga palangga. Okay, salamat kaayo ninyo guys. Okay. Sa inyong cooperation. Tomorrow nga mag-gravitational force ta ha. Okay, then di ba guys, daghan man ang mga forces, chuba chuchu. Mas importante kani ano kanang mga electromagnetic force, electric force, nuclear force, gravitational force, ug applied force. Okay, sa physics. Daghan man kanang mga applied force kanang mga tension, ning ana, tension force, fractional force, static force, rate force, ganun normal force. A lot of forces, chuba chuchu. Ang mga difficult kato na to mga lalo kay mga forces guys, so kato mga Debye forces, Kesson forces, Lorentz forces. Grabe yung iba, it needs research to know this technical, points about other types of forces that are not usually discussed in our classroom instruction. Okay? I don't know about Kesson forces just now when I research. Kesson forces is all about temporary induced dipoles during polar covalent molecular compound when it dissociates to individual elements during the chemical reactions, something like that, during chemical bonding. If you write the chemical gas structures, okay, and following the octet rule, and you can create a dipole moment, at the same time you can create dipole forces. And this type of dipole forces or moment is really weakly induced somewhere along the way of your covalent bond. Okay, because it's within the covalent bond that you can create a dipole force. Meaning dipole force, there's a positive charge and a negative charge, an ion and a cation, something like that. And then if two, this is dipole forces. But these are all dipole moments. Okay, usually polar covalent bond will have this type of forces, not true to the non-polar covalent bond, because this will not exhibit, dipole forces. It will just be exhibiting temporarily, but after it will be cancelled out when you add. It will become zero. Okay, just like the example of carbon dioxide. Carbon bond to oxygen, they will create a dipole moment, and then if you add the two, it will become zero because the dipole moment directed to the carbon and the other one is opposite. So opposite, then plus, it will become zero. So it's no longer through in non-covalent bond, non-covalent bonding molecules, okay, such as carbon dioxide, oxygen gas, fluorine gas, and all types of hydrocarbons are non-polar covalent molecular compound. So meaning to say, a reaction between non-metals and non-metals, something like that. So take note, non-metals and non-metals, something like that. Okay? You get the point. It's not an ionic, okay? Molecular combat through the movement and transfer of electrons and the sharing of electrons. And then there will be electrostatic forces involved in opposite direction. Okay, now the weak forces are very, very strong in this situation. Okay, that's why it will increase the creation of a temporary induced dipole. Okay, like that. Because as we remember, if the atoms are very big, the electrons are very far from each other, it will be directed away from the nucleus. Okay, something like that. So there will be a weak attractive forces. So the dominant forces there are repulsive forces. So that's why we have the London dispersion forces and the van der Waals weak forces for that. Okay? Nag-lecture naman ako eh. Nakakaloka. Walang katapusang lecture. Nakakaloka naman, Junjun. Okay. Ganahan dyan ko lecture, guys. Okay, 5 minutes na lang kuwang. Okay? Shout out niyo tanan, matulog na po po, guys. Okay? Okay, bye-bye na ninyo ay. Matulog na ko. Sige. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Ugma na po ta, mag-live streaming. Our topic will be gravitational force. Enjoy mo ani ha. Kaya education ang topic. Maghisgot ako mga heavenly bodies. Okay, planets like this. Mercury, Pluto, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, like that. Venus, Earth, the comets, the asteroids, okay, the galaxy, the Milky Way, the Proxima Centauri, which is the center of the solar system, the sun, and then little bit deeper, so different kinds of stars. And we can relate the topic of astronomy for this. Astronomy is the branch of pure science that deals with the study of heavenly bodies and the solar system. Okay, thank you. Mag-lecture na po kung balik. Welcome man. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. God bless everybody. Thank you so much. God bless. Click the notification bell for newest updates of I'm a Singer. Thank you for watching again and again. Sangko sa langit. Ako po pasalamat kanina. And I'm very, very grateful. See you later tomorrow. Bye-bye. God bless. Nakakaloka.